Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 253 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 1st, 2025. Hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, everything's good on this end. We took a short break with the podcast last week. I was on travel most of the week and fairly tied up with analysis. So, it's good to have a little bit of a reset now and again. We are a little behind here for the podcast, however, now. So please bear with me as I try to cover all the things we need to cover. I'll do my best to keep it tight and on time. We're going to see how it goes. Hopefully don't go off the rails. I trust you all had time to look through the Echo Zulu Defense X1R556 publication. That's a mouthful. Echo Zulu Defense X1R556-Ti. I feel like I need shorthand sometimes. Yeah, I think you guys all went through the publication, and so we're going to do that technical discussion on today's episode. Also on today's episode, we are celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Silencer Sound standard. That's right. It's been 5 years since PEW Science launched the standard publicly, and boy, has it been a great ride, I think. On the episode, I want to give a shout out to the good folks at Oklahoma State University who were so welcoming last week. I gave a seminar to their engineering students and their faculty. That was a really great time, so I'll tell you a little bit about that too. And finally, we're going to do a quick intro topic on the Dead Air Wolfman. Yeah, the Dead Air Wolfman technical report is published today, concurrently with this episode. One of the most popular subgun silencers of the past 5 years. Today on the website, live with episode 253, there's a technical report covering the Wolfman performance in both the long and short configurations on the HK SP5 weapon platform. We felt this is a great use of internal PEW Science funding to get completed. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and I think it's also a fitting anniversary publication. The Wolfman is about as old as PEW Science. It's about 5 years old. So, what a good case study, I think, to show what's what about that silencer. The performance claims versus the reality. I think that's a really great thing to do. So a lot of stuff to get through today, so we should get on with it. If you've been here before, welcome back. Okay, as always, if you are new to the podcast, a warm welcome to you. I'm glad you're here. Something you need to know right up front. There are timestamps in the episode description for you to skip to wherever you would like. And today that's going to be very appropriate, probably, because I don't know that all of you are going to want to listen to every single topic. Sometimes, now that we're publishing on YouTube, people don't realize it's a podcast. And so they freak out and like, oh my gosh, if you won't get to the point. It's like, well, we'll just skip to the dang topic. It's in the timestamp, in the description, okay? So those are always there for you, no matter where you're listening. It could be Spotify, iTunes, the website, YouTube. You could be on top of a mountain, off-grid, because you're cool. Or you think you're cool, okay? All right, I'm going to give you, and you can skip these ads, but I'm going to read ads because that's how the podcast keeps happening. As always, this podcast is sponsored by Legion Athletics, because nothing you do, exercise, sports, really anything is worth doing without consistency. And you have to do things all the time if you want to excel at them. Legion Athletics can help you with that. They have whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, vitamins, minerals, all kinds of different supplements. They have creatine now, which they didn't have for a while. And I can tell you that their creatine monohydrate, it's amazing. I know a lot of people sell micronized creatine. The micronization, the particle size, I don't know what the sieve size is of this stuff, but I've done some controlled experiments on myself. I happen to be a high responder to creatine. I always have been. Those of you who use creatine, you kind of know the difference between someone that's like a medium responder, like a high responder. I'm definitely a high responder. And I just dry scoop it sometimes straight to the dome. And because it's micronized, it's like super easy to deal with. And I enjoy that. And I just want to let you know that creatine is one of the most studied sports supplements that we have as a species. So I would encourage you, if you're into strength training at all, if you're into athletic performance at all, I encourage you to at least read about creatine monohydrate. You don't have to buy it from Legion. I don't care. What I do care is that you understand the supplement exists. Okay, it's really awesome. You can buy from Legion. Code PEW Science, 20% off your first order. This is also brought to you by Silencer Shop. He's going slow. Silencer Shop's great. Kiosk, fingerprints and photos electronically. You cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get money back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It's really silencer ownership simplified. Also, Top Gun range out of Houston. If you prefer to like go in person and talk to people about silencers, which I can honestly sometimes better than talking to someone on the phone, I think. If you're in the Houston area, it's worth checking out. 15-lane indoor shooting range, largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, machine guns, rent them all at their range, and rent silencers. Put the silencers in the gun, shoot them before you buy them. Very rare. TopGunRange.com, Instagram, Top Gun Range. Also, speaking of places to buy things, Capital Armory. Did you know that silencers are in high demand and approval times are lickety-split? High demand, you might not be able to find what you want, and frankly, you're busy. Maybe you work days or nights, and you really don't have time to go to a gun store. Did you know that Capital Armory can help you with the painful paperwork and also ship the silencer directly to you? That's right. If you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, you can order a silencer in your living room and have it shipped directly to that same living room. What a time to be alive. It really is that easy. Capital Armory. Silencer shipped directly to your door. And finally, this podcast is brought to you by the PEW Science Laboratory. It's the 5th anniversary. What's up? 5 years. I'm the technical director of the lab, and for 5 years, I have made the command decision that in the interest of public education, we would sponsor this podcast, and we would run a public research effort to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. 5 years later, we continue to do so. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating is the metric we created that is the simplest and most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before the combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone, all the mechanical operation of the weapon system has ceased in the true free field as the MIL standard always intended. PEW Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections. It is the most in-depth and accurate silencer data analysis in the known universe. It's all available to the public 24/7 at pewscience.com, 5 years running. Can't stop, won't stop. You can support this podcast yourself. That's right, you can. You can support PEW Science. You can support all the testing we do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com, and all the cool kids are doing it. Don't you want to be cool? You should want to be cool because it's awesome. Also, there's a donate feature if you're not into monthly fees because, you're scared. That's cool. It's important to be scared, especially in this economy. You can just donate a one-time thing too if you want, or don't. If you don't want to give any money, that's of course fine. Although every little bit helps. I understand that times are tight. Something that's free and doesn't cost you anything but goodwill is to give the podcast a good rating. Spread the word. Let folks know. Let your favorite gun store know that PEW Science exists because they know that silencers and guns are awesome. But did they know that they could get the best data anywhere? Maybe not. So got 4 topics. What I'm going to do, I already told you, it's the anniversary discussion, it's the OSU discussion. We're going to go over Article 181 with Echo Zulu. Then we're going to go over the new Article 182 with the Dead Air Wolfman. So what we're going to do is going to kick off topic 1 at a time of 8 minutes. No, I lied. 9 minutes. And 5 seconds. Oh my God. He's going to spend too long on this. He's crazy. Who is this guy? 1 second. Oh man. Did you ever think this was going to happen for this long? It is. Buckle up. Topic 1, the silencer sound standard is now 5 years old. I do want to sincerely thank all of you for supporting PEW Science all of these years and helping to make this industry better. Okay, you have helped to make this the industry standard for silencer sound suppression performance. A lot of people can argue that it's not, except it is. Longest running, baby. 5 years. It's 5 years. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I did Google, approximately 50% of small businesses fail within their first 5 years. That's interesting. We're not out of the woods yet, but I figured this laboratory is fared pretty well, all things considered, I have to say. And we have all of you to thank for that, I think, each and every one of you listening. So I do mean it when I say it. Like, thank you for support over this time frame. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thanks for spreading the word. Thanks for joining with a membership through the website to help fund the research. Like, all of that stuff helps. It's sometimes people say thanks, and I don't know, and I'm sure a lot of people mean it, and if you're listening to it, like, how do you know that someone means it when they say thank you? How do you actually know? I don't know. I guess you have to, I don't know, maybe you listened to me talk for 5 years or more if you were here before we launched PEW Science, because the podcast actually predates PEW Science. I don't know what else I have to do to tell you I'm sincere, but I am. To those of you who've met me, I hope you know that I'm sincere. I mean, I'm pretty, kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve a little bit. You kind of, what you see is what you get with me. There's not a lot of facade here. Pretty blunt. So I think you guys did us a solid for sticking with us, and that's awesome. Because I have to tell you, and you probably know this, I was not sure where this effort was going to go when I started it, and I had this idea for quite some time. And several of you have heard the story, but I was sitting down with my wife over a glass of wine one night, and I asked her what she thought of a universal risk scale for silencers. Something that would apply to any suppressed small arm weapon system, regardless of silencer type or firearm type. And, I'm a pretty lucky man. My wife is familiar with suppressed small arms. So her first question to me was, well, can that be done? And I said, it absolutely can be done. Absolutely. And I sketched how it could be done on, like, literally the back of an envelope that was on the coffee table in front of us. I still have that piece of paper. And so I literally, that was like the official start of the whole thing. And I immediately founded the company, and I spent every night and every weekend for a year engineering the solution analytically and empirically. I built PewSoft. I tested all of the silencers in my own personal collection because I had a bunch. I'm a silencer lunatic already. And many of those silencers were extremely quiet and lived up to the marketing at the time. They really did. At the time, I mean, meaning when I had purchased them, years ago. And others that I tested were not so quiet. And they had very high back pressure, or maybe they had other undesirable traits that, of course, the manufacturer didn't tell you anything about, right, when they were selling it to you, or the dealer, or whomever. I can't tell you how many basement, so-called Class 3 dealers I sat at their basement table with their dog barking while they brought the lone mysterious silencer out of their safe and put it on the table in front of me to sell it to me. You guys, that was way before Silencer Shop existed, right? This is like a different time. Anyway, my mission personally, and this is a personal endeavor. It started as a personal endeavor. My mission was to figure out the why. Why were my silencers doing what they were doing? Why were they not doing what the YouTubers and the silencer dealers and the silencer companies saying they should be doing? Like, why? Why was that happening? Like I was, and I had a list of things. Because I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure out who was lying. Like, was it the marketing people who were lying? Was it the dealers who were lying? Or was it the manufacturers? Or maybe nobody was lying. That's another question I had. I was like, well, gosh, either someone's lying or maybe they're not. Maybe there was no malice at all. Like, maybe people simply didn't know how to measure and report performance. But I couldn't imagine that would be true because this industry is so old. I was like, no, surely there's blast engineers out there that are doing this. Surely there are. I'm just coming from it. I was coming at it from a perspective of, well, I do this all the time professionally. Why wouldn't the silencer industry have the folks like me that already do this? It was puzzling to me. I honestly did. I'm being sincere. Like, I didn't understand. I was like, no, I have got to be missing something. So I'm just going to do this and make sure. So we started it, and you guys witnessed it. So over the past 5 years, we actually have proven publicly that it was a mix of of answers of those things that we had guessed. It was definitely a mix. We proved that because you've all seen it happen, and I think it's still a mix. Like, all of the problems we thought that might be occurring in the industry were occurring. Like, and there's a bunch, and this is all public record, so it's not like I'm telling you a tall tale. Like, you can go back. I mean, we have the internet, so you can literally use the Wayback Machine on the internet, and you can go look at everything. And like, for example, like, paid influence, we're calling many things Hollywood quiet, right? And although that's a really fun term to say, it's extremely misleading if you've watched like any Hollywood movies, right? And or if you've fired any actual silencers, right? So there's that was happening. That was causing a lot of damage, frankly, like monetarily to consumers. That was causing a lot of consumer monetary damage. That was causing actual money damage. Okay, that was taking money out of people's pockets, like misleading them. That's bad. Also, folks selling the products, that they were not only embellishing the performance, like they were embellishing the performance claims, right? And they were not only doing that, like using like flowery marketing language and terms like quote unquote hearing safe, like, which literally, I'm telling you, before PEW Science started, I can't tell you how many manufacturers, oh yeah, this is hearing safe. This is hearing safe. They were saying that. Not only were they doing that, but they were actually falsifying test results and publishing them. And that part, that's actually still happening in a lot of places. Not as much anymore. A lot of you're brand new to silencers and you're not seeing that much anymore. And that's fantastic. And because that part actually has slightly diminished. I say slightly because it still happens, but it has slightly diminished, I believe, in large part due to PEW Science. I do think that our company helped temper some of that nonsense. I think there's a trend, and I know that correlation doesn't imply causation. However, just observing the market and observing the marketing and observing things, it's happening less and less. But I would be careful. I would be careful of assuming that it still doesn't happen with, like, there are companies that, I mean, we saw, I want to say within the past couple of weeks on social media, our members would send us videos of folks supposedly testing some kind of firearm apparatus with clear sleight of hand, like clear experimental setup deviations that were misleading, like purposely, just to show something that the company selling the product wanted to show. And even like the layman was watching it and saying, well, that's just gobbledygook. And so it's still, you know what I mean? So that's something that we discovered is true and was happening. And there's also a lot of, we could go on and on. I could give an hour discussion about how silencer companies falsify results. I don't care how many of them are in the room together. The way to falsify result, if you're selling silencers, it's a problem. You should have independent analysis. And so, you see where I'm going with this? So anyway, we don't have to get too far on that, but you obviously see the impetus. You know the history. This is all public. All in all, I would say that the mission has been successful. I would call this a mission success. I do recognize there is a long way to go. The silencer market does continue to expand. Anyone that is paying attention understands that. They see that. So what does that mean? New users are entering the mix constantly. Getting those users to PEW Science is important. And why is that? Is it because PEW Science wants money? No. It's important so those consumers can get off on the right foot. I do not care what silencer you buy. PEW Science doesn't care. If you're listening to this, you're probably going to buy a silencer. We can't control what you buy. You're going to buy what you need based on your use case. We are here to help you. PEW Science is a lot of work. We would not be operating this endeavor without the goal of helping people. I don't know how many times I can say that. Okay. Yes, it's benevolent. Absolutely. And the folks that argue about it, I am sorry that you don't feel benevolence and you don't want to do, a lot of times what's happening is, folks are criticizing it and they're throwing all these criticisms because they can't possibly believe that someone would be insane enough to do this just to help people. And then they can't possibly believe that we would want to be compensated for the work. Like they think you can do it for free. It was like, I was talking with a guy today. I said, hey, what if you had your family, you came home one day and let's say you had a job and you work every day, like hard, because you want to provide for your family, right? And you come home and you tell your wife, you say, hey wife, you're like, how you doing? She's like, I'm good. How's your day? Well, kids were doing this. Did you, how kids behave? Like, did you get anything done? Like, yeah, I did this. Like, hey, bad news. I decided I'm going to work 100-hour weeks and I'm going to do another job and I'm not going to charge any money and I'm going to do that for free, but it's for it's easy. And then I'm going to hire employees. I'm not going to pay them either. I'm going to get a test facility and we're not going to charge any money. We're not going to pay that note. We're just going to go into mountains of debt for that too. What do you think about that? What do you think about forming a company, but it's charging no money at all? Your significant other would look at you and they'd be like, are you taking crazy pills? And you're like, yeah, I'm totally taking crazy pills because I don't want the people on the internet to be mad. It'd be insane. And so we know that we are giving performance judgments on products. We understand that the people viewing our information all over the world may own products that perform well, or they may own products that perform poorly. We also know that a lot of the people viewing this research design or manufacture products that perform well or perform poorly relative to their competitors. And we understand that someone seeing this information that makes a product, seeing a performance metric of their product that is lower than their competitors, we understand that that could be emotionally difficult for them. But there is no way to report objective performance without those people getting emotionally upset. You see, you cannot benefit the consumer and then also give everyone a blue ribbon, because it would wash the resolution. It would blur the scale, and it would be of no use. It would be essentially every silencer's the quietest, every silencer's Hollywood quiet. I love how this looks. You should go buy it. And that's what YouTube did for years. That's what the gun magazines do, the gun writers. Okay, I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying that's their job, and that's what people expect. All right. So anyway, I think getting people to see PEW Science is good. I think it's occurring at a decent rate. I think it could use some work, but that's okay. I think that's part of our future goals. I think it's something to help make information flow a little better, maybe get more places. I think it's possible. I think we could use your help with that. We try to get the word out pretty strong. I think we have a strong community presence overall. So people know who we are and they know where to find us. But yeah, you can always do better, right? Anyway, I want to make sure that for those of you who are new to silencers, I don't want to sound like an old boomer or something like that, but I guess I'm getting a little older, and I do have a lot of experience as a silencer consumer, like buying silencers for guns that are cool. And I'm going to say, this is sincere. And I say this a bunch. I think you folks are living in a wonderful time. The amount of information you have is really unprecedented. And in the past 5 years, we have literally shown you analysis that simply has never been shown to anyone before, ever. It has not been shown. I want to put this in perspective. It's not necessarily that PEW Science did something new for the silencer industry. That's not what I'm saying. It did something new for impulsive noise risk and human blast load risk. And it did that for events that are lower severity than typical blast loads. I'm speaking to you as a blast engineer. That is my life's work. Okay? My life's work is blast engineering. Outside, the silencer industry is just a subset, dude. You guys, you're getting so hung up. The blast loads you are subjected to from a suppressed small arm weapon system are so much lower severity than what we are used to dealing with to protect people from. And the combustion regimes, the blast loads associated with them, like from silencers themselves, they're very unique. And they have a very strange duration. The duration components are very odd in the blast world. Okay, I can tell you this. They're very odd. They have other waveform features that make them really non-trivial to study. This is non-trivial. This is not simple. It's not easy. This is not easy to get peer-reviewed. We do have peer-reviewed stuff, but it's not peer-reviewed by the silencer guys. If they could peer-review it, they would be. Guys, they're not blast engineers. They're literally welding baffles together. Guys, you're not. And so look, the hundreds of things we've published on the website, they have actually forged the way for a new method of examining these physics. If you don't want to look at the suppression rating, don't. I don't care, dude. Don't even look at the suppression rating. Look at everything else. Look at everything else on the website that you can literally repeat, because all the tools you need to repeat the experiments are there. So there is no excuse, okay, other than skill and experience. So this is the big picture. This is all true. And what you guys have helped build for 5 years is real suppressed weapon system metrics in a library. Again, look at the suppression rating or don't. I would advise you to look at it because it's really, really powerful. But if it makes you mad, don't look at it. Look at everything else. Read the articles. Don't look at the suppression rating. It's fine. But I'm telling you right now, if you look at everything in totality, you have the how, what, where, when, and why for all these silencers. It's all there. I can say unequivocally that you have all of you listening or contributing, the membership, donating, whatever, spreading the word. I can say unequivocally that you've all helped change the silencer industry. You've all helped change it. And it took a while. And there's been pushback, dude. Obviously, there's been pushback. People get really mad. But hundreds of thousands of people use the silencer sound standard to learn about silencers and to be informed about true suppression performance. That's facts. We have the analytics, dude. We've been tracking our analytics since March of 2020 when we launched the website. We have the entire record. We know exactly how many people have seen our articles on the website. We know that. So we know how many people are looking at it. So we know how popular it is. It's not this make-believe social media stuff that people buy followers and they talk and they say that they make these companies that get in fights and they're real small just to make themselves big. And no. We're helping real consumers and real companies and real physicists and real professors and real researchers for 5 years running. And we know it's working, and it's because of you. You helped do it. That's real stuff. That's real as a heart attack, man. So yeah, 202 published tests and 181 public articles. Today it's 182 public articles and 204 tests, because there's two tests in the dead air thing you're getting today. There are literally hundreds of tests for manufacturers and weapons developers, and they use them too. The smart ones are using those. The ones that are still stuck pre-PEW Science 5 years ago, they're still yelling at clouds. Now, hey, you can't please everyone, but you can help a bunch of people if you just keep an open mind. And there's so many silencer users every day, dude. You guys, salt of the earth. this is, we win battles every day. Maybe we haven't won the war, but I'd say doing pretty damn good. All right. What is that? Half an hour on that? Yeah, it's insane. All right. Let's go on to topic 2. No, I'm saying thank you. Okay. Was that long-winded? Absolutely. Topic 2, a time of 30 minutes and 6 seconds. This is going to be long. Whatever, dude. Give me this. It's like an anniversary. Come on. Let me do something. Topic 2. Big thanks to OSU. I had never been to OSU, Oklahoma State. Engineering faculty and students attended a seminar there that I give a lecture at. They're a very welcoming group of people. They in their curricula there, they're learning about fire and explosions and protecting the public. It's actually a great degree program. There's several degree programs there for folks that are interested. I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I know. One second. Because I know that a lot of young folks and folks getting into engineering education contact me all the time, ask me what they should do. They send me their resumes and so I figured I'd talk about this, maybe help you out just a little bit. I mean, you don't have to go to Oklahoma State, obviously, but there's a lot of places you could go. Maybe Oklahoma State's not for you because they don't offer exactly what you want to do. But I just want to know that I want you guys to know that this is real, and I think the more I try to illustrate to you that this testing and analysis we do at PEW Science is real and that real people are looking at it and using it, you may take it a little more seriously. And you might understand that the risk matrix that we're giving you are real, and we want you to be safe because that's what engineers do. They protect the public. Okay, that we're charged with protecting the public. I don't know, all engineers should know that, but some folks that are not engineers may not realize that is literally something that engineers go to school to do. They're the ethics requirements that we all are bound by the professional engineering boards in the states in which you practice do mandate protection of the public. That is why license exists. So we were at Oklahoma State, a lot of fun. I've never been to Stillwater. It was pretty cool. In my opinion, pretty awesome university. They call it the Princeton on the Prairie, apparently. I learned that. It looks cool, dude. The architecture, I was like, wow, this is like, this is really sharp. Anyway, one of my colleagues that shares similar research interest in impulsive noise and protecting people from hazards, he invited me to give a seminar to the engineering students there. And I thought there was a pretty big turnout. I didn't know how many people were going to show up. I was pretty stoked, actually. It was in a theater. It was cool. So I gave a talk on explosions, the physics of how explosions happen, the hazards that may occur when explosions happen, and we even went into some PEW Science stuff at the end, which was super fun for me to be able to speak with students about that. It was actually really cool to see how many folks were interested in the type of research we do here at PEW Science, and I had fun doing the talk. Very rewarding to me personally. My goal was to hopefully have at least one student come away with a little bit of inspiration. I think we succeeded in that in a pretty big way. The students were engaged, and speaking with them afterward, many of them seemed pretty interested in both starting their own business as well as working in the field of personnel protection, which was cool because a lot of them already are, just because they're degree programs. And it's interesting. You can check this out on the internet. But so Oklahoma State University has a degree program in fire protection and safety engineering technology. That's the official name of it. They also have one of the largest fire schools in the country, and an extremely good one too. A ton of firefighters come out of Oklahoma State. I don't know if some of you know that, but they do. Their undergraduate program in fire protection and safety engineering, it's a bachelor's of science program. It runs 4 years. It involves a lot of hands-on curricula. So actually, I toured all their lab facilities. Pretty cool. Everything from risk engineering to hazardous material specialization. There's a lot of different tracks you can go into. Their graduate school has degrees in the same areas. There's actually a Master of Science in Fire Safety and Explosion Protection Engineering, which I found to be pretty cool. And all the folks in the department were present at the seminar, so they got to hear the lecture. And I kind of tailored it to some of them too. I know they see a lot of fire stuff, so I wanted to focus more on explosions to hit that, because I think that's, everyone likes to watch stuff blow up too. So I just, this is important to me to tell you. So I just want you folks to understand what these type of degree programs offer. These teachers, like these professors and faculty, they are educating students in how to be safety professionals. Okay? These are the scientists and engineers that directly protect lives daily. Like, I'm not blowing your skirt up and I'm not like using hyperbole here. Like, this is real. Okay, we've like again, all professional engineers are charged with protecting the public. You know that. And that's why we're licensed, right? That's why attorneys take their bar exam to get a license. It's why your doctor's licensed to practice medicine, right? We all answer to boards. Professional licensure, it exists to ensure that there are standards for the folks doing the work that directly impacts the public at large. That's like, I know it sounds corporate to say and like super like formal, but them's the breaks. That's the reality. And when you talk to these students and you see them, like, these are the students taking the bull by the horns, right? It is a lot of responsibility to work in fields like this. And so it was cool to speak with the like very, very young people having interests that align with mine professionally. Like, that's like, you're speaking to kids that are 20 years younger than you and more and greater. And so, like, in my opinion, it's rare that people that young really focus on something that early, because this is, like, to me, big picture stuff. Just for engineers in general, like, I know, like, some people are like, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. It's like, awesome. Like, I'm pre-med, which is cool. But what I'm saying is, like, usually you meet a young engineer and they're like, I like math. Like, they're not like thinking, I want to help OSHA compliance at ExxonMobil. I want to figure out the IDLH of this new compound and how that will affect regulations of people in the downhole drilling tool industry. I want, like, all these are, like, the niche stuff. And some of these people are like, they're industrial hygienists or something. Like, this is like a complete umbrella of people, young developing minds that are interested in protecting you every day. And so I think there's always a reason why folks gravitate toward that type of education. I'm going to tell another thing that I found interesting. You might find this a little bit inspiring. There is a sizable Chinese student contingent at Oklahoma State in this program. Like, I'm talking about Chinese nationals, okay? Both undergraduate and graduate students. And my colleagues were telling me that one of the reasons they are here in the United States getting educated is because there is a huge fire problem in China. And apparently, and this makes sense, I guess, in hindsight, I just never really thought about it, I guess. I've been to China, but I just have not thought about this. A lot of hot oil cooking and things like that. And a lot of these kids, and I call them kids because, they're in their 20s. A lot of these kids, they have skin in the game, literally. Like, they've lost friends or family in different fire events. They want to learn about fire protection engineering and explosion engineering to literally save lives so they can go back to China and do it. Like, they were inspired by people they know personally who have died. Like, for students to do that, and they go halfway across the world, bro, that's pretty inspiring to me. Okay, that's huge. So, overall, for me, this is a huge trip for me. I was really inspired by the trip. Made some pretty good research connections by meeting all the professors. They're really nice too. What a great place. I'm very impressed with the program. at OSU. I think that engineering and technical programs that offer a lot of hands-on lab work as part of the curricula are invaluable. I'm not saying that the ones that don't have that are bad. I'm just saying that I think when you have a program that has a lot of hands-on lab facilities that are used properly during instruction throughout the degree program, I think it's very practical. Like I've been told not only by the folks at OSU, by other people that talk about folks that come out of OSU's program, that when the students graduate and they enter the workforce, the employer's opinions are that those students are usually pretty practically minded, which is awesome. And I can't really say the same thing for some other degree programs I've personally hired people from. Okay, I've hired engineers, and I can say that not all of them can turn a wrench. For example, I'm using that as like a general thing. I'm not saying literally like that's what we look for. I'm just saying, anyway, you get it. So I noticed that, and I'm hoping even in this talk that there's someone listening that this will help. So if you're interested in fire protection or fire science or explosion engineering, process safety, protective design, any other related fields, I do encourage you to look into things like this. I'm not saying go to OSU. I'm saying, like, if you are listening and I am describing you, but you really don't know where to start, shoot me an email, tech@pewscience.com. I'll be happy to speak with you, and maybe I can help point you in the right direction. It's not only OSU guys, like I'm an Aggie, went to Texas A&M for my degrees. Like, if you're really interested in high-level combustion physics, have I got the professor for you? If you're really interested in protective design, have I got the program for you? Okay? Like, I'm telling you, if you're interested in this stuff, just say the word and I will guide you. I would love to have someone enthusiastic come into our field. So yeah, thanks again, OSU. I mean, like, as an Aggie, I feel like you folks are strong allies. Good group of folks. So they treated me with such respect there. That was, for me, important, and I was honored. I'm very honored to give that lecture to the students. All good things to say. Onward and upward. And if you guys have any questions, please email me. I'm serious. Like, this is like me being sincere to you. And if you don't want to know anything about it, no problem, no pressure. Let's move into topic 3 and talk about silencers, because a lot of you were bored at a time of 42 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm sorry. I had, 5th anniversary, guys. I gotta and plus we were out last week, so I gotta tell you all that stuff. 1 second. Okay, topic 3. Sound signature view 6181, the Echo Zulu Defense X1R556-Ti on the 556 standard untuned mid-gas 14.5-inch barrel M4A1 semi-automatic AR-15 rifle. Remember, this is another hybrid design. So we're going to dig into the technical talk for this article, for the report published not last week, but the week before, because we're a little behind. Oh my gosh, now I got to I got to get my game face on. I got to reset. Okay, so we talked about PEW Science, lovey-dovey, kind of circle jerk. Everyone loves everybody. Everyone's great. Then we talked about OSU and how great OSU is. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this silencer and how it performed. I'm going to keep it as objective as possible, as always. We're not going to do a love fest, as we don't do any for any silencer, but I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I actually have to say there's not a lot of ugly, because objectively, this silencer is pretty crazy. And I have it on my desk along with, what do I have on my desk? I have the Echo Zulu silencer here. I still have the Centurion Arms Maximus L here, which still perplexes me that they were the first one to do that. And then I have the Dead Air Wolfman that we'll talk about in a little bit. It's like such a weird, it's like, just have silencers on your desk. Yeah, that's normal. So this Echo Zulu Defense X1R556-Ti, another 556 silencer. I do admit things are getting a little nuts, and I think consumers are starting to get a little restless with this, just from my observations. I think personally, I think I'm getting a little restless. I'm getting a little overloaded with 556 silencers. I have to tell you that me personally, I am, and there is a human element to this because I'm doing these podcasts. So I have to talk about it. I don't have to, but I'm choosing to talk about it, and it's like, I'm not a robot. Sometimes I wish I could be. I know that suppressing 556 is important, and I think all of you would agree. 556 is a very dangerous cartridge from an impulsive noise perspective. So don't get me wrong. 556 silencers are very important. I want to say for the record, I will say, and I will beat this drum. I will beat this drum again and again. People who say that all 556 silencers sound the same, or that 556 silencers don't matter because 556 is loud anyway, or any of that dumb stuff, those people need to start reading, frankly, because now it's getting to the point where there's a mountain of evidence that says they're completely off their rockers. So I'm going on record, and as always, and say I am glad there are a lot of 556 silencers on the market. They're getting more advanced, really great. It's just that the majority of this year has focused on them, and that's how demand works. Okay, that just is what it is. I would say most of the silencers that are being produced, most of the new silencers being produced are 556 silencers. I see that because we see a lot of stuff you don't, and you know what? Frankly, we see a lot of stuff that the dealers and distributors don't either. Because guess who's coming to PEW Science before silencers are released? The manufacturers. And a lot of times they're coming to us before they've talked with distributors. You see what I mean? This is and I'm it's not really a thing behind the curtain, but I'm just telling you, how do you think this is working, dude? So PEW Science does have a bit of a pulse on what's happening, and I can tell you 556 is nutso, along with 30 cal. 30 cal rifle silencers and 556 silencers are, if you have a pulse and you meaning a heartbeat, and you want to make a silencer, what's the easiest thing to do? You think it's easy to make a pistol silencer with inertial decoupling system that it requires engineering, or do you think it's easy to draw something in the CAD program and have it 3D printed? Oh no. Yeah, too bad, so sad. Sorry to bring reality to your life, but you understand the barrier of entry is dropping. So I say all this to say I'm going to have to make a command decision and take a detour soon, and I think for all of our sanity, and we're going to do that today anyway with the dead air thing, but just want to let you know, I hear your plight. Okay, for all of you who are sick of the 556, don't be sick of it. Just know that there's a lot of them, and there are. And what I also don't want to, I don't want to diminish the impact of this particular article. This one's not normal. One second. This silencer is not normal. The size, the weight, the overall performance, it's all very impressive. Very impressive. This is a very impressive product, objectively. The combination of size and weight and overall performance is pushing things forward. This is not a normal silencer. Ladies and gentlemen, there are some humdingers recently. So on the M4, on this article, I'm going to go through what makes it tick. PEW Science has gotten some questions. The manufacturer has gotten some specific questions. They called us the other day to talk through some of those. They've gotten some questions about the performance. I think this talk will help put some uncertainties to rest for some people that have questions, and at the very least, maybe help you understand how this thing behaves and where it might fit into the market or your use case or things like that. So again, X1R556-Ti, 6 inches long, 11 ounces without a mount, 556 silencer, hub capable, titanium, 3D printed. Just let that sink in. You're getting 6-inch long hub capable silencers that are much less than a pound with very high performance. This is not normal. You've seen the AAC M4 in our rankings. Okay, guys, like it's time to like really wake up. Wake up. You're here. Next generation stuff's here. Okay, bottom line up front. 41.9 suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end of the silencer, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field on the standard M4A1 14.5-inch mid-length gas AR-15 with an H2 buffer, carbine buffer spring, stock in position 4 of 6, M193 ammunition. 41.9 at the muzzle. Okay, now 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear, suppression rating is 21.7. Okay, what does that do? Brings us to a composite suppression rating of 42 flat, 42.0. One moment. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a second. I'm going to regroup and be very. This is good. This is good. I want to talk about these suppression ratings. Focus on the muzzle and ear suppression ratings for a second. Okay, 1 meter left of the end cap, you're getting 41.9. 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear, you're getting 21.7. Okay, so obviously the hazards from this weapon system vary spatially. And by a lot. You would say a lot. If you have a 0 to 100 scale and you get a 20-point differential, I'd say that's a jump. Up or down, right? It's like using, I don't know, common sense. You don't have to know anything about how it works. You just need to know 0 to 100 scale, and you, for the same weapon system, you have a 20-point differential at 2 points in sound field. Okay. So, if you are adjacent to the muzzle, you are significantly more protected than if you are the guy shooting the weapon. Right? In the free field. In the free field, meaning away from all reflecting surfaces other than the ground. Standing up. Like you all know, this data, these calculations are made from the data acquired like that. We've said it 100 times. Literally, no, we've actually said it 181 times. Literally, it's like in every article, you know. Okay, that's a 20-point differential in those two numbers. Non-trivial. So why is the composite rating 42? Why? Well, it's a composite of the muzzle and ear, but it's designed to be a one-number rating. And if you were going to pick one number for the system, would you focus on the muzzle or would you focus on the ear? Trick question, because it depends on what's most important for you. And newsflash, you're all different. Oh no. Yeah, that's what, you're going to present data to the public and make it work? Well, you got to think about it. The only fair way to do a composite rating, which honestly is really challenging to give one number to something. The only fair way to give a composite rating is to give credit for both the muzzle and the ear suppression, and give credit where credit's due. So if you have extreme muzzle suppression, like this silencer does, clearly the composite rating will be extreme. If you have extreme shooter's ear suppression, the composite rating will trend toward that and be extreme too. But if there's a big differential between muzzle and ear, the algorithm will not let that composite rating creep much past either of the ratings. Why? Well, because that would be useless. It would tell you nothing. It would tell you nothing. To really boost that composite rating, you're going to have to do better at the ear in this case. Now, if the situation was reversed and this thing had a low muzzle rating but a higher ear rating, same thing. To get a boost in the composite, you would have to do better at the muzzle. Same thing. And you can go through the rankings table if prove this to yourself if you want. It's literally there. Like it's all public. All public. You don't have to be a member. It's all there. So let's look at a case study real quick. This is topical. I know it's not this silencer, but it is topical. Remember the Huxworks Flow 556K on the Mark 18? You remember? I know you remember that. It was like 31 something at the shooter's ear suppression rating was like what was it, 31 something on the standard untuned Mark 18, right? Really high. But remember the muzzle suppression rating of that silencer on that gun was like 25.8. Okay. And the composite rating ended up being what? 33.1. Okay. Some people understood the assignment, and they looked at both the muzzle and ear ratings, and they realized, hey, 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer, things are mid-20s. That's not quiet at all. But I bet you if I'm near reflecting surfaces, that's going to be loud. And I bet you in late time, it's going to be loud. That's not a quiet setup. But it does lower ejection port blast significantly at the shooter's ear. Okay. There's probably like no back pressure. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Silencer's small. It's doing more work than I thought it would. Cool. Maybe I'll buy it. I don't know. That's what like an opinion would be if someone like fully understood what they were reading. Or they maybe asked us a question if they didn't understand, which is okay too. Now, other people, when they saw the test report for the Flow 556K years ago, they didn't read anything because they don't like to read. Reading's hard, which is fine. Also fine. They also didn't listen to the podcast clearly. What they did do was they looked at the big number at the top of the page only, and they saw it had a slightly higher composite rating than a Silencer Co. Saker, and then they lost their minds. Literally lost their damn minds. Like, I'm talking frothing at the mouth, upset. Like, no, seriously, these people like were pulling their hair out mad. What they did not see is that the suppression rating of the shooter's ear for the Saker was like less than 18. And its muzzle suppression rating was like over 32. So it was a different sport, wasn't it? Oh my God, it was. But the Saker and the Flow 556K have composite ratings in the Mark 18 that are pretty damn close. But they're completely different systems. And you could not possibly hope to completely quantify that with one number. You cannot do it. But the composite rating does the best it can. It's the best anyone's ever done. I can assure you that. What is it? Why? And why would I be? Is that hubris? No. Why? I'll tell you why. It says, hey, this system has the potential to suppress in the low 30 zone. Read more to find out. That's what the composite rating's for. It's the first look number. If you looked at nothing else and knew nothing about silencers, that number tells you for both of those silencers, this system has the potential to suppress in the low 30 zone. Read more to find out. That's all the composite rating tells you. If you actually read more, and you don't have to... Look, it's not like you have to read more. Like, I'm not sending you on a wild goose chase. You look at the composite suppression rating in the colored graphic at the top of the page, and then you shift your eyes. Like, your eyes move like a millimeter down, and you see like the detailed ratings are right there. So if you actually like just moved your eye a little bit, like you don't have to move your face. Like, you could almost see in your periphery. Like, if you just look at those little things, you'll see the muzzle and ear ratings, and everything's all of a sudden more clear. And you don't have to freak out and lose your mind. Okay, and this is why I'm trying to I do not understand how this could be misconstrued if you would just read. So I know this is about Echo Zulu Defense. We're going to get to it, but I'm going to say more. 1 second. 5th anniversary. Do you know how much trouble not reading the reports has caused? And I'm not going to dumb this down. You're either going to read it or not, but I'm telling you what, and this, for 5 years, we have a 5-year data set of people thinking that reading and listening is hard, which is cool. You can be deficient in something, but I'm going to tell you what happens. You may think you know what happens, but you don't. What a lot of the public actually doesn't know is that the Flow 556K composite suppression rating was so misunderstood by some folks in the industry that they literally made it their personal mission to actively fight the use of the analysis and disparage our laboratory. Like, there are people who they wake up and their purpose is to say bad things about us. I don't know what. I mean, they say when you do something you're going to have haters, which I learned to be that is true. I just didn't know that we had a fan club like that. And you got to keep in mind, those people aren't calling us and they're not asking us questions or anything. They're just in their own corner yelling at clouds. And they're just doing bad stuff, really bad stuff that's harming consumers. Now, that was like super hot and heavy until, of course, they performed their own testing and realized that their raw data was like matching ours. And they're like, oh, well. And then they all of a sudden it's like, oh, now it's just more passive aggressive and they're quiet. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. No, nobody admits they're wrong. No one apologizes. That's fine. They just pretend like things didn't happen because it's like it's way easier, right? That's the silencer industry. That's how the silencer industry works. That's why PEW Science exists, to like rise above that. So I say all this to say, if you have a question about how this works, you should ask us. That is not only an offer, it's sort of like a demand. Like, you need to ask us a question. If you don't understand how this works, don't go burn down the forest when we could just help you build your campfire right here. Don't be crazy. What you could do, you could go ask your favorite silencer, internet person that you think you trust. That's cool. If you want, dude, that's fine. Chances are, if you have a technical question about something on our website, we are the people best qualified to help you with your question. Now, are there educated consumers that understand what we do and that are glad to help you just because they know it can help you? Absolutely. And more power to those people. But don't be upset if you ask a question about this article and you get an answer that's wrong from somebody when you didn't ask us. We wrote it. We did the testing, we did the engineering analysis, and we wrote the damn reports. We have never once gotten an inquiry saying we think that data is wrong. Never one time in 5 years. So if you're seeing that somewhere, well, know that they didn't talk to us. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. And this goes for all you manufacturers too. If you have a question and you want the question answered with reality, call me. You all have my phone number. All of you. You all have my phone number that are listening to this podcast. Every manufacturer has my phone number. So if I don't have a text message or phone call from you, I'm going to assume everything's fine. All right. Okay. 41.9 at the muzzle, 21.7 at the shooter's ear, 20-point differential. Do not think that if you put this Echo Zulu Defense silencer on your M4 mid-gas rifle with an H2 buffer with an 0.76 gas port that you're going to magically not have ejection port blast. Okay? You should not think that. Why? Well, it has almost a 42 muzzle rating and still not getting mid-20s at the ear. Oh my God, what does that mean? Well, okay. Is anything in the 20s at the shooter's ear, regardless of ammo, host, silencer, good for you without hearing protection? Is that good for you? No, dude, it's not good for you. On the color chart, when you get down in the 20s, it's kind of orange and red looking, right? That's generally recognized universally as stop or bad or harmful or hot or danger. That's why it's red and we go red to green. It's literally to help you understand that 0 is bad and 100's good, or 0 is loud and 100's quiet. We're trying to protect you. So, look at the suppression rating scale. Risk doesn't get low enough to start taking off your damn earmuffs until the 30 zone or so, right? Is that for high volume fire, for shooting more than one shot, right? Right? Come on. That's when you start to take off your earmuffs, for a limited amount of shots. Read the damn graphic. What does it say? Go to it. Below 30, limited hunting engagement. How many of you folks understand what that means? You shoot your deer, you're done. Okay. You go up to 30, magazine or two maybe. You're in that zone. What, you think you're on the cusp of the 30 zone and everything, all of a sudden, it's a magical boundary line that says you're good? Or do you think it's a spectrum? Come on, guys. Come on. Look, I can lead you to water. I can't spell things out for you. Every single, you know what I mean? Come on. All right? 5 years. Read it. So these numbers at the top of the page, what are they telling you? We're still at the top of the page. We haven't even gone and looked at the data yet. Look at the context. M4, mid-gas, not a tuned gun. Hard to get high shooter's ear numbers without very high flow rate in early time. You have looked at this is not the first M4 test we've given you. Okay, we have shown you this. This has a high muzzle suppression rating, lower shooter's ear suppression rating. Clearly something's going on with the silencer. You have not seen the raw data yet here, unless you've read it, but you know something's happening automatically. Just looking at those two numbers, you know something's happening, okay? It's probably higher back pressure, at least in early time, than normal. That should be your first clue. You're like, in early time, it's probably, at least in early time, it has higher back pressure. Something's happening. So let's dig into it. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening, okay? Scroll down to figure 1. Okay, that's right. You have figure 1A, as always, and figure 1B. Blast overpressure, 1 meter left of the end cap, 1.6 meters above the ground, away from all reflecting surfaces other than the ground and the true free field. There are some features here that are a little bit interesting, and I want you to look at the tail in figure 1A. See how you get quick decay, but then you get more bleed. It's not decaying, like the shape of the decay is not typical. It's very interesting. Right away, you actually see something different with the gas dump. So that's like there's something going on in late time too, it seems like. And then in early time in figure 1B, you're not showing anything especially surprising, other than there is quite the elephant in the room, isn't there? That's the first round pop, the FRP. Okay, I'm going to specifically talk about this. And all of you know what first round pop is. And if you don't, I'm going to explain it to you in detail. First round pop is the extra combustion that happens. It's the additional blast loads that happen. I'm telling you this very technically and very exactly and very explicitly. First round pop consists of additional blast loads that are occurring because there is extra oxidizer in the silencer before you shoot that first shot. Okay? Why is there extra oxidizer, and why would that matter? It's because air has oxygen in it. There is a certain percentage of oxygen in atmospheric air. It's mostly nitrogen, but there's oxygen there too. The oxygen in the air that you breathe is enough to help things burn. You remember how fire works that you learned in, I don't know, was that middle school or something? You are unloading very hot gases along with unburnt propellant into the silencer. Okay, can you imagine why first round pop is worse on short barrels? Because of higher blast pressure and more unburnt propellant. Can you imagine why that would be? You are creating an explosion that is more intense. It is a more intense explosion. It is called first round pop. And it is called that because it happens during the first shot relative to the other ones. First round pop is a relative quantity in the way we are presenting it. You can present it as an absolute quantity, but we don't do that for you. So you shouldn't be viewing it as an absolute quantity because you don't have that metric. You understand? Unless you are seeing, no, it's always relative. Actually, we've always given it to you relativistically. In the case of this silencer, the X1R556-Ti, the blast impulse generated during FRP is very high relative to the subsequent shots. Now, this is important to understand. I don't want you thinking the silencer is super loud, because it's obviously not super loud. It has a 41.9 muzzle suppression rating. Go look at the rest of the M4 data and the Mark 18 data, and you tell me where 41.9 stacks up. Okay? Do it. Go to the ranking section, select 5.56 ammo. So don't even differentiate by weapon. Just select 5.56 ammo. So that's going to populate the table with 75 tests, right? We have currently 75 5.56 test records in the table. That includes Mark 18, M4, the Knight's Armament rifles, all that crap. If you sort by muzzle rating descending, what are you going to see? Well, you're going to see the X1R556 literally in third place. What's higher? Well, the PTR Vent Spiritus on the M4 and the PTR Vent 3 on the Mark 18. but not by much. By a couple of points. Right? Okay. So that gives you perspective. You know where the X1R556 is sitting on average at the muzzle. How do you know that? You have the suppression rating. It's an average of the 5 considered shots in the analysis. Shot 6 is never considered. That's for data integrity validation. All of you know that. That's also said. So you already know. You already know where this silencer is sitting on average at the muzzle. Therefore, you know with that FRP where the silencer is sitting at the muzzle. You understand how this works? We're not excluding the FRP from the rating. Okay, so logic would dictate if it didn't have that FRP, it would be punching up with the Spiritus on the host in muzzle rating. I'm telling you that. I have the math. If this silencer didn't have FRP, the suppression rating would be like the one would be the Spiritus rating, basically, more or less. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm not being like an apologist for this silencer. I'm telling you, I just want you to understand the gravity, like in the power of the suppression rating, even when you have one shot that's out of whack, which is the first shot. Okay, obviously the other shots are very consistent with the silencer. They're almost perfectly on top of each other. I hope this puts things in perspective. Are you shooting only one round with your suppressed AR-15? I mean, maybe, and that's perfectly within your right. Okay, in your use case, some people only shoot one round with their AR-15. That's true. Now, are you doing that all the time? I mean, maybe you really, you know what? Maybe you use an AR-15 and you only shoot one shot whenever you shoot it. That's not judging you. But I would ask you a question. Why are you using an AR-15? I mean, those are semi-autos with magazines, which is, of course, 100% okay. Not judging you. But also, you could use a bolt gun and super, way quieter for the shooter because there's no ejection port blast. So, maybe do that if you're only shooting one. Okay? You see what I'm saying? I'm not telling you shouldn't care about first round pop. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm telling you that when your suppression rating is this damn high at the muzzle, consider what FRP really means. It means it's louder relative to the other shots, not relative to all of the other damn silencers on the chart. Okay? Come on, guys. Just don't freak out. Okay? I think some people freaked out. I'm like, and I told Echo Zulu, I said, look, I'm going to. They're like, did they not read it? I'm like, no, they read it, dude. They're just not thinking, because people don't like to think. They want to jump to conclusions and they want to nitpick everything, and they don't look at contextually because it's hard. Critical thinking is hard. And I'm not saying people are dumb. I'm saying we're not standing on a YouTube video saying this is Hollywood quiet, peak dB so low. And we're just not going to do that, because we believe the more you learn this, the more you're going to be able to educate others. And over 5 years, we've proven that's awesome, because how many people use it now? Hundreds of thousands. So this is a hybrid design. It does, in fact, have high flow rate features combined with traditional baffle elements. There's a reason PEW Science called it a hybrid. There's a reason the manufacturer used our terminology and called it a hybrid, because it is one. Keep in mind, this actually doesn't have a ton of baffles. It is sending gas on interesting journeys. You have a lot of circuitous paths to deal with in the silencer. If you are expanding blast loads, you're going to go on a run. You're going on a journey. And I'm not going to reveal trade secrets. I'm sure that folks are going to cut it open, because silencer companies cut everything open. There are silencer companies that cut every silencer open to look at it. Not all silencer companies do it, but there are silencer companies that do it, and we know a lot of them do it because they tell us they do it. So once you release a public product, all bets are off. Obviously, you know that. People cut open everything PEW Science tests if they haven't, if it's like a new model. Okay, but I will say there is one feature in the silencer, the blast chamber, that we specifically mentioned in the article. Like other than like the lattice and the flow recombination downstream, which I think is actually pretty slick. Upstream in that blast chamber, that first expansion chamber, there are most certainly vents. Okay. And blast load is in fact allowed to clear off of that relatively flat surface. It is allowed to clear and reflect off the sidewalls as you would imagine. And it is also allowed to clear into those vents as you would imagine. But I feel like this configuration of vents and the geometry of the reflector, it's such that you get impulse accumulation that's a little bit higher than typical, okay? And with where those vents lead, I think you end up getting a combination of things happening. I think that what we're seeing in the data does suggest a higher back pressure in early and late time. Not higher than like a super high back pressure silencer. It's higher than a low back pressure silencer typically is. I would not consider the back pressure of this silencer like high. I would consider it middle of the road for the design class. It is not gassy. It's not, because it's not a high back pressure system. It's just that on the more restrictive end of the hybrid taxonomy, you're going to notice things, especially on host weapons like this, and that's okay. This is an untuned gun. Believe me, this is still lower back pressure than a lot, and I mean a lot of silencer. Excuse me. Do you want quantitative proof? Okay. Look at figure 4B, if you remember. Look at the front-loaded FRP in the shooter's ear impulse waveforms. There are some things that it does that are clearly advanced. I just think that its strong suit is the muzzle suppression. I think the silencer is the 556 silencer you can use and not get super gassed out, still have a lot of suppression. Would I tune a gun for it? Absolutely, I would. I know there are users already doing that. I saw Mr. Recchi on the Instagram there. A shout out to him. He shot this and told me, he posted a thing showing damn still images of the thing, the gas propagation of it. And it's matching up perfectly with the momentum dump we display in the impulse waveforms. And I believe he's tuning his weapon for it. He's saying he's not getting gassed out. I believe him, because this is saying you probably shouldn't get gassed out, but you need to tune your gun to ensure that the blast overpressure coming out of the ejection port is lower. And just so you know, blast overpressure moves way faster than gases that are like smoky and containing particulates. The blast waves themselves are moving at the sound speed in the medium, which is air, which is Mach 1. 1,100 feet per second is how fast the wave out of the ejection port moves. Does the gas move that? Does the quote-unquote gas that you see move that fast? Well, no. It doesn't. You guys do know that the blast load is separate from the actual condensed gaseous products out of the ejection port, right? You know, the blast wave is going at Mach 1 and the other things are going at, well, you can probably track it in the video. They're like kind of pluming out. It's called dispersion. They're actually dispersing because they're not blast waves. They're clouds of gas. Okay. So yeah, tune your gun for the silencer. But do not, under any circumstances, think this is going to operate like a Huxworks silencer, because it's not. Because the Huxworks silencer doesn't let those type of ejection port blast waves propagate from the ejection port. Why? Because they're not happening in the barrel. They're not happening in the chamber. The Huxworks silencer doesn't let it do that. They don't have time before extraction. Like this silencer gives it more time. Okay, because they're reflecting down, up and down the barrel at the sound speed in that medium. And what do you think is inside the barrel? Do you think it's like atmospheric gas? No, it's superheated. What do you think the sound speed is in the barrel of those waves? relative to air. It's way over Mach 2, Mach 3. Who knows? I couldn't tell you because I don't know what the exact composition is in the temperature. So you understand the difficulty and why the Huxwick silencers exist? You see the difference? There's a difference. And why do you think the suppression rate of the Shooter Zero is higher? Less blast waves. Okay. The test data we collected in this program clearly illustrates that the silencer does not behave like a Huxwick silencer at the ear. And the suppression rating sums that up for you. So use it. Now, scroll down to figure 5. I think this is an M4 chart. I think it speaks for itself. Again, is it a huge data set for the M4? No. But we have a pretty good smattering of things here. It's getting pretty good. You have the tiny door kicker silencer, the Knights Armament QDC MCQ PRT, popular little thing. Why? Well, it's because the British military put it on a gun, and everyone wants to be a cloner, which is fine. I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you the facts. With the right mount, hazard reduction to the shooter in the free field really isn't far off of this silencer, which is crazy when you think about that. When you look at what is that? The MCQ PRT with the 3-prong, 19.1 at the shooter's ear. This silencer is 21.7. It's not that far off, dude. Isn't that crazy? Maybe that's why folks love that little silencer so much. Now, at the muzzle, the X1R556 literally has double the suppression rating of the MCQ. So, don't thinking you're going to use that MCQ and think it's quiet. Okay, this is the same phenomenon I was speaking with you about at the beginning of this topic with the Flow 556K versus other stuff on the Mark 18. Shooter's ear suppression rating and muzzle suppression rating differential, guys. They matter. You think I was wasting my breath talking about the Flow earlier? No. It's because this type of phenomenon is going to keep happening. Pick a platform, pick a silencer. If you don't read or if you don't ask questions and you don't understand these concepts, you're going to keep misinterpreting the results. We've made this as simple as possible with the red and the blue bars. You don't have to like it, but we're going to keep doing it because it's right. Now, you look at the X1R556 and you're like, okay, what is it competing against, right? And you're like, okay, well, it's punching up at the Spiritus clearly. It's punching up at the Flow 556-Ti. That's that full-size Huxwick silencer, which to me is pretty wild. It's punching up at the Cat WB, clearly. Surpassing the muzzle suppression rating of the WB. Neck and neck. So it's neck and neck with the Spiritus, the Flow 556-Ti full-size, and the WB neck and neck. Now, well, no, the Spiritus is pulling away because that PIP, man. Hey, credit where credit's due, dude. That PIP tech is nuts. But yeah, neck and neck with other stuff. But what do you also see? You see the shooter's ear suppression ratings lower than all that other stuff. So clearly the flow rate of the X1R556-Ti is going to mandate you probably want to tune the gun. That's okay. Just know your expectations are what we need to set here. Now, is it like the need to tune a gun for the Saker or a polonium? No, dude. It is not like that. It is not that extreme. But you're going to want to at least do a mild tune for best user experience. And so far, consumer feedback is indicating that that's tracking with our data. Okay, that is what this data analysis shows us. That is the Easter egg here, if you want to call it. That's the pay dirt. The pay dirt here is that you look at this and the differential is so big. You want to tune your gun. That's what users are telling us. Boom, done. It's right. Perfect. Another one. Another check in the block or check in the box. Useful, actionable, meaningful. Okay, now. I do think the gross conclusions below the bar chart are helpful. There are I started doing that numbered lists because I thought it was easier to read for you. I think they're going to help you with relativistic performance comparisons, and that's what it's all about. And remember, again, I'm going to keep beating this drum too. The power of PEW Science rankings and suppression rating is having everything on a level playing field. That means everything, not just the 5.56 stuff. Literally all of the silencers and weapons and ammo in the standard, everything in the rating sections all on the same scale. I keep saying it. I don't know if I hope you understand what that means, because it's not normal. Like, you are never going to see another group of test results presented to you in a sortable format for different silencers, ammos, and weapons on the same scale and it be correct anywhere else. It doesn't exist. There are no examples present that I have seen that work except for the Section 7 of the Silencer Sound Standard. To this day, you are never going to see multiple weapons on the same sortable table with metrics that are comparable, except the suppression rating. And that's the whole damn power of the whole thing. It's only 0 to 100, and it's all comparable. And you understand what I mean? That's the power you have at your fingertips for free. Use it responsibly. It's a lot of power. Okay. It's pretty much all about the silencer. I mean, that's like, tune your gun, and it's quiet as heck. Like, it's titanium, so like you can abuse it a little bit, and they give, I think I could give a firing schedule in the article, and the manufacturer will tell you too. Is probably some first round sparking and flash due to the first round pop. Okay, if you're a super secret squirrel and you're only going to shoot one round with your AR, and people are shooting back at you, and you have to be, okay, maybe that's not a silencer for you. But if you're like most of the people who will buy this, like 99.9999999% of the people who buying it, I wouldn't sweat it, honestly. If you actually shoot your guns, it's quiet, it's light, brand new company, which is honestly nuts. Because think of what they can do in addition to this. Like, this is just their first one. Like, what a first product. Like, what? Like, really, like, do you know, like, I don't know, like, go back memory lane. Like, if you were around when Silencer Co. started, which I was, you remember what Silencer Co.'s first product was, which we all thought was awesome? The Sparrow. And they had one product for a while. That was their first product, the Sparrow. You know how bad the first round pop is on a Silencer Co. Sparrow on like a short barrel 22 pistol? It's terrible. That kicked off Silencer Co. Okay, this silencer is knocking the brakes off of most 5.56 silencers that exist, and it's the first product from this company. Okay. That's objective. That's objective, dude. It's a hybrid design right out of the gate. It uses advanced flow dynamics. It has a lot of structure too. Kept it to 11 ounces and 6 inches long. I would not sleep on this. Like, I'm not telling you to buy it. I don't care if you buy it or not. It doesn't affect me. But I would be aware of this if you are looking for a lightweight 5.56 silencer and you're a consumer, or if you are a competitor in the space chasing that hybrid holy grail. Do not sleep on these people. New companies are here. They are everywhere. They're coming out of the woodwork. You never know what's going to happen. Okay? Stay up, dude. You got to stay up. Good job, Echo Zulu Defense. You came out swinging. I'd love to see it. Everyone loves to see it. Okay. So that's a new company. Now, in our last topic here today, we've already gone an hour and a half. It's getting a little crazy. We're going to revisit another newer company who's actually old to many of you. To many of you, this is an old company. That's Dead Air, right? It's actually newer than you think in the big scope of silencer companies. They're not that old. Speaking of the suppression rating scale, though, and everything being on a level playing field, and also speaking about muzzle and ear differentials, boy, do we have a treat for you. I think this is an apt 5th anniversary publication, Dead Air Wolfman, at a time of 1 hour, 28 minutes, 29 seconds. Oh my God. Did he bite off more than he could chew for the day? He did. All right, one moment, guys. We're gonna do this. It's not gonna be that long. Topic 4, Sound Signature Review 6182. The Dead Air Wolfman on the HK SP5. Both long and short configurations of the silencer. Prolific submachine gun silencer. In my opinion, misunderstood. Clearly, it's misunderstood. I'm going to do a quick introduction to the technical report. It is live with this episode. So I think, and I have it sitting right on my desk, the Venerable Wolfman. What a name. This is going to do a couple things, this article, I think. And hey, you don't know until you do it. I think it's going to, first of all, I think it's going to help a lot of people. That's a sincere statement. I do believe. I'm sorry. One moment. I'm going to pause this. I'm losing my voice. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So first, I think this is gonna help a lot of people. I do believe there are tons of wolfmen in the wild. I can say that, right? Wolfmen? No. Plural of wolfman, right? Like, no, seems right. No, you wouldn't say it because it's a proper name. So you would say there are a ton of wolfmans in the wild. But that's like, it sounds weird, but it's probably technically correct to say wolfmans. It's not an actual wolfman. It's a silencer called a wolfman. Yeah, that's what Dead Air named it. They have good branding. those guys. Hey, it's one of the things they're good at. I say, always have been. They've tricked me at least once before with their marketing. Sure. Hey, they're good. Hey, you got to credit where credit's due. They're good marketers. I'm gonna read you. Let me go to their website, bro. Broseph, brother. 1 second. I'm gonna go. I have the article. I'm not done with it. Where's the Wolfman? The Wolfman. I'm gonna go to their website. And I can do this because it's literally on the public internet, so I can't get in trouble. Right? I'm going to read you part of this here. What started out as mild plastic surgery for some inline improvements to the Wolf 9 SD ended up turning into an entirely new beast. Okay. They are, of course, referring to the previous subgun silencer they made, which was the Wolf 9 SD. I don't know if some of you remember that. It's about 5 years ago that stopped. I'm going to continue. He goes on to say, the Wolfman is the next generation of suppression. Like its predecessor, it's a modular, multi-caliber suppressor. It specializes in subgun, light duty rifle, and pistol use. Then they talk about performance, yada yada. Oh, let me get to something here. Okay, here it is. The suppressor is designed for maximum muzzle suppression while also maximizing at-ear performance for the shooter through the use of a large internal volume and generous blast chamber. Okay. So this is not the technical talk yet, clearly. This is the intro. So next week we're going to give the technical talk, but I want to say right now, this silencer was released like 4 or 5 years ago. So that's pre-PEW Science. Or like right as PEW Science was starting to publish research publicly. You guys now clearly know that the volume and the blast chamber argument, like for back pressure, like was spurious, right? Like that's not real. And why? Well, it's because the manufacturers were never considering compressible flow dynamics. They were never considering shock dynamics, and they were simply using legacy design tribal knowledge. That was like, I'm not crapping on them here. I'm just saying like that was like what all these silencer companies were doing. Like except Hux Works, right? No, for real. Like 5 years ago, right? So like mostly. So this is a treat. Now it is March of 2025, a full 5 years after we started doing this, and you get to go back in time and see what was said about the Wolfman and if it tracks with real test data and how it tracks and compares with GSL Phoenix, which is a revamped Gemtech Mark 9K, which far predated Dead Air as a company, obviously. And also you get to see how the new stuff compares, like the Cat Mob and the Otter Creek Labs Lithium, the PTR Vent 2, the RS9 from Resilient, and the Cash 9K from Huxworks. You get to see all that stuff. It's cool. It's a subgun. These are all, and did you notice that they're all subgun cans? Is that an accident? No, it's not, dude. We're doing subgun tests. And everyone's asking for like, can you put the pistol silencers on there? Yeah, we can. Why don't you let us get the subgun test done? The subgun silencer test done. So you can see like what's what. So when you see this report and you see the muzzle rating and the shooter's ear rating, I want you to reconcile what Dead Air said in that marketing with regard to the suppression performance, the physical design features, the comparison of the other silencers in the article and their performance and their physical design features. And keep in mind, like, is this fair? Because I mean, this is a 5-year-old silencer, so it's like, is it fair to like compare it to like these new ones? I don't know. They still advertise it, so I'd say it's fair. But it's good to know. It's like super prolific. Everyone has one, so you got to know. So after you compare and contrast and look at this, I want you to sit down and take a deep breath and reflect on what we've done and what we've accomplished over these past 5 years, because when you do, you will realize what can be gotten away with now, marketing-wise, and what can't now, 5 years later. It's a good case study. It's different now. It's different now. Just keep it in mind. That's all I'm saying. Big picture, okay? I love these older silencer articles because we get to go back and highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly, and it's like you got such a huge database of consumer experience too. I can't wait for people to see this. It's awesome when you have stuff to match up with what you've been using for 5 years. So I will say the Wolfman is an interesting silencer. Fully welded stainless steel, modular, adaptable. You can pretty much attach it to anything you want within reason. You can put it on a 5.56 gun too if you want, which is pretty wild if you're into that. Like, I don't know why. I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's cool. Go nuts, dude. Whatever. Now, interestingly, it's not super long either. It's actually a pretty good size. It's a little longer than a cat mob. I think it's about the same diameter. It's heavier, but hey, that's just construction and material. It's steel, right? So it's modular. It's versatile. Pretty good muzzle suppression, I would say. Like, really good muzzle suppression. Very simple design. Very simple baffles. I think it does well in the MP5, but the elephant in the room with this silencer will be, I think, the operator hazard metrics, which I think probably don't get enough mention because no one ever showed you the data. So I think, again, this article, besides having great utility for a huge audience, is because how many people have the silencer, it's going to really help veteran silencer users as well as new users understand what high flow rate and advanced suppression really means. There are some absolute killers on the MP5 chart. Okay, and guys, remember, this is an 80-degree locking piece, full-size HK SP5 with a fixed A2 stock. This is the pinnacle of suppressed MP5 host, like other than an MP5 SD. And this is full-power Spearlawman subsonic ammo. This is real talk, real drag race, real war. This is a tough crowd, and it's a pure silencer enthusiast gauntlet. The host weapon could not be more appropriate for like a silencer enthusiast gauntlet. This is like put an 80-degree locking piece on a real HK roller lock gun, screw a silencer on the end, and test it and see what happens. That's like it. If it doesn't do well, then you know it's the silencer. This is like one of the best silencer hosts that you can purchase that exists in the world. Okay? This is like not a new platform that kind of hasn't seen refinement. This is an HK gun that has like stood the test of time of decades of awesomeness. So if your silencer is doing what it's doing in this gun, it's your silencer. And that's why we picked this gauntlet, because it's awesome. So how does the Wolfman stack up in both the long and short configuration? Read the report to find out. Live in the morning around 0700 or something like that, Central Time. No, thanks for 5 years, guys. Thanks for the members making all this happen. You guys, I owe you so much. Like, thank you for making the Wolfman research happen. These members did it. Okay, internal funding. Thanks for the encouragement. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for believing in the mission. It's paid off. Please stay safe out there. Read about suppressed subguns, which are amazing. And we'll be back next week to do a deep dive. Okay? I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.